The first transit-inspired beer in Metro Vancouver has arrived. Introducing the Platform Pilsner. Platform Pilsner is the ultimate Canadian beer, using 100% Canadian ingredients and brewed right here in BC at Patina Brewing in Port Coquitlam.
Very first one. Crystal clear. Nice head. Look at that. Beautiful.
It's crisp, clean, and refreshing. Aside from its make and taste, can we take a moment to appreciate this can? Starring the West Coast Express. The service began in 1995, and now in 2025, the first West Coast Express-inspired beer is born. Now, let's get to the making of Platform Pilsner.
Heat this thing up.
Jose, the head brewer at Patina Brewing and the brains that made this craft beer, will take you through the process.
And you should know, nothing goes smooth on brew day. Beer is made with four main ingredients. It's made with water, grain, hops, and yeast. I call it a Canadian Pilsner. What that means is that every ingredient in this beer is made or produced in Canada. That's our grain. So that's what we're putting into the mill room. It's going to break it open and get that nice white stuff inside that looks like flour, where all our sugar is. So the idea of milling it is to crack these little grains open and get to the sugar that is on the inside. It's a bit, you can chew on it, and it tastes like porridge. So that's our mill. That's where we take all of our bags of grain, like the ones that we're using for our beer today, from Alberta. And we will dump them in the top. It'll run a couple of rollers together, crush it and crack it open for us, and put it into our grist hopper, that big white tank there, and get it ready for our mash-in. So step one is mixing our water and our grain together. So the grain gets milled down into a rough flour, and we add a specific temperature of water, depending on our beer, to basically make a giant porridge. Fill this guy up with water, and our hope is that we get exactly about, in our brew house, 130 liters, 150 liters to create a water cushion in there. Oh, this is our temperature. I'm trying to aim for roughly 158 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius. That is the number of liters going into the mash tun right now. So we're going to prepare some other things while it's filling. We're going to prepare our acids to adjust the pH of the mash. That helps us get the right enzymes out of the beer and make it do everything we want it to do. Steamy. And we're going to start the mash-in process. This is calcium chloride and calcium sulfate. Sometimes we'll add Epsom salts. They're all salts, and what they do is they help bring out certain characters of the beer. I'm in a bucket of water here. We're just going to add it to the brew. That's the last of them. Close, 145, goes 158. We're going to start sending the grain. It'll get a little noisy. There we go. So our grain is coming in, and you poke your head around the corner there, you can see that it's striking it with the water, mixing it to our desired temperature and consistency. What that does is it starts to absorb the sugars from the grain and create a liquid called wort that we're going to use to ferment into beer. That's how you get those brewer arms. Messy job. Sometimes we'll add rye, sometimes we'll add oats, the actual flaked oats in some beers. So it really is a breakfast cereal at this point in time. I'm going to add something else to this particular brew. This is called biogluconase. It's a bit sciencey, but what it's going to do is it's going to help us have a faster lauter and it's going to make the beer a little easier to work with. It's an enzyme.
After more mashing, constant temperature checking, and adding water and grain, Jose finally reaches that desired temperature for this mixture.
We're aiming for 63 in that spot. There we are, 63. Awesome, perfect. kind of lock in all the good stuff. Just want to keep the temperature steady. I just don't want it to steam. Also, the steam can drip off of things and into the beer. We don't want that. So just keep it closed up so it can sit and go through its saccharification rest and make all those wonderful sugars that will turn into beer. We're going to start draining it from our mash tun into our boil kettle and get it ready to boil. And the best part about that is we get to taste and try the fresh wort. It's called First Runnings, and it's going to be our sweetest, richest, maltiest part of the beer, and that'll tell us how the rest of the brew is going to go. So if it's nice, rich, and sweet, then we're going to be very happy. It is hot wort, so it's a fancy name for hot, not yet beer. There's no alcohol in this at all right now. It's just going to smell and taste like a sugary breakfast cereal. This is our first running. So this is colloquially called Brewer's Breakfast. Cheers!
That's
very sweet, right?
Holy, that is way sweeter than I expected.
Yeah, that's your beer.
It's like a nice tea.
It is, yeah.
After malting, the mixture is drained and moved to the boiling kettle.
We'll move our wort in here, heat it up to boiling temperature, add any hops we want to add for bitterness, maybe some hops for aroma, and get it sanitized by boiling it for about an hour. From there, we'll move it down into our whirlpool. And our whirlpool, just as it sounds, whirls all the wort around in a big giant circle. It collects all of it's called trube, it's all of the proteins and hop matter from our boil kettle and our mash tun into the center. And then we can draw the wort off of the side to get a more clear wort to put into our fermenter. Then from there, it goes into one of our 9 fermenters out here. So at Patina Brewing, we have 9 conical fermenters. That's where the beer is going to be fermented. That's where all those sugars are getting eaten by the yeast and turned into a beer. The next step, especially for our Pilsner, is to clarify it, and that's where we'll move it into these stubbier guys here that are right in front of us. These 2 tanks here are our bright tanks, and that's where we'll add all of the finings to clarify the beer and carbonate our beer so that it's a fizzy, drinkable beverage.
After 6 weeks of fermentation and 3 days in the bright tank, there's only one thing left to do.
This label is really fun. It's a foil-backed label, so the back of it's all shiny. And what that means is we can choose which parts of the label are nice and shiny. So we can see the background here is nice and shiny. And the thing I like the best is we got the lights, and the lights glow and are shiny. This is Riley from Local Canning that comes in and helps us can all of our beer. So I'll show you how it all works. Starts at this end. This guy is the depalletizer. You can see all the cans come on a pallet and they just start rising up this elevator, and the machine starts pushing it along. Comes along here. It's right where Eric is, lining them up, and they start sliding down this depalletizer into a twist rinse. So this guy here, inside this container, is a little bit of water. So we rinse out the bottoms of the can so it turns it upside down, rinses them out. They start moving down. We have this date labeler here, so that gives us our batch number and our date code. And now the cans are just about ready for beer to go in them. They come down the line here, and you can see there's these 4 or 5 spears here in the first part. What those are doing is filling it with CO2 to purge out any oxygen. They move down a little further, and you can see they start to fill the beer with the fill heads. So it fills from the bottom of the can nice and slow, making sure we don't agitate the beer too much or break out any of that nice foam. Next step, it comes down to this part here, and it's gonna catch a lid. The lid will just lay on top gently, hit the carousel will turn it, and that's where our seamer is gonna start to seam the beer. It's a 2-stage seamer. It'll seam one part, then the next part, and it's a completely sealed can. After that, the can goes through this part right here. This is just a rinser. Just rinses it with a bunch of water and moves it down onto our label machine. So our label machine here separates the beers with our little wheels so that they're spaced out nice and evenly, and then it starts to apply the labels for each can. After that, it comes down to Efren here, and he stacks them all in the flats and puts the can carriers on top, and then now it's my job to go put it on the pallet. And by the end of the day, we'll have a nice big pallet.
And that's how the Platform Pilsner is made. You can buy a 4-can pack at Patina Brewing in Port Coquitlam and at select liquor stores in Metro Vancouver. There's only a total of 1,500 4-pack cans of Platform Pilsner, so get yours while they last.